Nintendo Direct is very likely to be next week. People are thinking it's probably going to be either 27th or the 29th. But if not, then there probably will be very soon after. It's hard to tell with Nintendo. A lot of the time, their leaks and rumors are just very hearsay. But from consistency over the past few years, I would say that that we'll probably see a Nintendo Direct next week. But let's do it. Let's jump into the news. There's an okay amount to go through, and some interesting extra stuff I grabbed. So let's do it. Let's do some news, chat. Welcome in, everyone, to the news for the 25th of June 2022. Summer of Game Fest is mostly over. We're kind of that sort of end period for the end of June. Ironically, Nintendo still have not presented themselves yet, but they shouldn't be too far off. They kind of sort of drag their heels. Unsure why they like to do that, but it looks like we're starting to calm down. But we do have a few things to cover, and then we'll start ramping up for middle of the year, sort of just general announcements. But let's do it. Let's jump into some news for this week. We'll start off with some generals. First up, Final Fantasy 16, Naoki Yoshida interviews various different people, by the way. So he did quite a few interviews. If you've not seen how Yoshi P runs his team, particularly for Final Fantasy 14, he loves to talk about the games he makes and what he's doing. He likes to be very direct and very open, and it's not really what Square sort of does generally. This isn't really what a lot of Square devs do. But Yoshi P, fantastic producer. I think that Business Unit 14, they're just great. All around, I'm very, very pleased with what I'm seeing for this game and what I'm hearing about this game. I'm not going to go through all the various details, but you can see from the headlines, it's going to have real-time combat. It has AI party members, so it's confirmed we are going to have party members, but we are not in control of them. It is not an open world game. There's heaps of information about this one, and also the fact that they are planning to do more details during October. Fall, which very likely means October, just because it's the prep period just before Christmas. So very exciting to see. There's a heap of different interviews. If you really do want to go and dive into all the extra information, I'm trying to hold back from looking into too much of this because I don't really want to spoil the game for myself, but there is a lot of very cool, intricate details that Yoshi P is willing to talk about. I'm always very happy when I see this sort of thing, where it's developers, particularly from AAA companies, willing to be very, very open about this stuff. Oh my gosh, I'll have to read that bit in a minute, Talico. Mel Wolfpack House has achievements. Yeah, I would imagine it would. Also, welcome in, Wolf. How you doing? But yes, I'm very much looking forward to this game. This is shaping up to be one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, if it is actually true. And I have great confidence in this team. And there was particularly one extra piece of information that I found very interesting, which highlights perhaps just how effective this team is at making this game. Final Fantasy 16 is currently playable start to finish. This does not mean that it is done anywhere near and is going to be dropped anytime soon, but unlike what we had with 15, where they really could not get that game from start to finish. Oh my gosh. Hang on, I got my glass.
Super One Woman just subscribed. 6 more days my game updated but can't play until it live. Cream rave, 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 cream rave.
Oh, I like how she read Cream Rave and she sped up on that one. That was fun. Thank you, Superwoman. Thank you for subscribing. And hell yeah. I know, it's kind of weird. So I almost made a post about it on Twitter. I probably will do it tonight. But the fact that the pre-order went through and now preload is going to probably start very soon or if it hasn't already, for Sunbreak. And that knowledge, when you've got a game where it's like it's been purchased, it's coming, you're like, you're only a week away from getting this amazing thing. It's always a good feeling. But yeah, welcome in, Superwoman, and thank you again for the sub. I'm very, very new to FF. My first was 7 Remake. No way. But I watched my brother play 10 when I was first released. Talica, I'm a big FF fan. It's really funny playing Final Fantasy Origins because it's kind of meant to be like a celebration of all different games. And there's little bits and pieces there. I don't think it really celebrates it as well as it probably could have. That game is a bit of a shit show in a weird way. But 14 is a real celebration. 14 has done an amazing job about showing off what's great about Final Fantasy, and it is the most, to me, feels like a Final Fantasy game since like probably like, I want to say like, for me, FF changed a lot at 10. 10 is probably the last of the stands. 12 is extremely good, actually. I'll take that back. 13 and 15 are probably the outliners. 13 and 15 I feel like don't really fit into normal Final Fantasy category. They're kind of a weird beasts, both of them. But the fun thing is about this game is one thing that they've actually mentioned with 16 coming out is Yoshi P is intending for this, and Business Unit 3 are not intending for this game to be a lingering in the past. It's not like a lot of the FFs that have been coming out recently where they're just obsessed with bringing back a lot of stuff for old fans. This one is its own thing. It is very much like, even though we have like clearly Garuda on screen that looks like 14's Garuda, and a lot of the Eidolons coming back, this story and everything in it is meant to be focused in its own universe. And maybe they'll get DLC in the future that puts in old stuff, but right now, from what we understand, Yoshi P is saying that this game will be its own story. It will be its own thing, and they've taken it back to more medieval fantasy because people were a bit on like the fact that modernizing fantasy and all that sort of stuff, as fun as it is, was kind of overdone, and they wanted to take it back. And I kind of agree with them. I mean, 12 and 14 very much have that DNA, and I think it works quite well. But taking it back even further, where there's no Magitech and things like that, if they do that, we're going back to Final Fantasy, like old Final Fantasies. So things like 4 and backwards, which I think will be fun. I like Final Fantasy 9. 9's good. I would say that I personally, out of 7, 8, and 9, I would probably put the order 8, 7, 9 though. 9 is, for me, it's not, I didn't get into that one as much as I did the others. FF12 is where they started experimenting with new combat systems. Therefore, when it started to go downhill for you, I mean, that's fair enough. A lot of people didn't like 12. I think 12's Gambit system is honestly fucking brilliant. You still can control each of the party members, which I really enjoy. The combat in 12 to me is just very, very enjoyable. And maybe one day I'll play Zodiac Age on stream. But what I will say is that they are JRPGs. They're very long, so I try to avoid them on stream. I do like the lore from FF, from what little I've known. Characters, summons are all great. Reason I didn't get into it sooner was it was turn-based things. You've said the thing there, Talica. Turn-based wasn't my thing. I was impatient kid. I love turn-based. I think it's going to be weird, but it's kind of it's very much a who it's for, I guess. I think that Final Fantasy recognize that a lot of people don't like it, and so they kind of split their teams, and then they have lots of essentially they've got alternatives now. So different teams in Square now make different games. So you can play, like, there's tactic games coming out, there's turn-based games coming out, there's like board style games coming out. Like, Square's recognized the JRPG genre has sort of diverged in all these different directions, but Final Fantasy, they've always kind of wanted to figure out what is popular, and that is what the main line kind of does. And action RPGs are hot right now. And you know me, I love that. And this game looks like it is very much shaping up to be just very focused on an action RPG. I like the story of 12, but not the gameplay. I like the I hated 12. 12 is, I can understand. People really didn't like 12 for some reason. I didn't quite get it. 12 was so much better than 10 and 13 and 15 for me, but understandably some people, it wasn't for everyone. That being said, there was 2 turn-based games I did like playing. Digimon World 2. Oh my gosh, you like 2. And Metal Gear Acid. Oh, and the Acid series, man, that's some funny ones, Talica. I'm not a big fan of World 2. I think that game's a little too grindy. It's very tough as well at times. And Acids, I was not a fan of the Acid series. I really didn't play too much of them. I ended up watching a walkthrough for 12 when I got soft-locked in the sewers. Oh, Red Rover. Yeah, no, 12 is, I think 12 has a very good story until the end. It gets a lot of like people hating on it because it's like associated to essentially Star Wars. If you like Star Wars, you'll probably like 12, ironically, because there is a lot of weird callbacks to Star Wars in that game for some reason. I'm not really quite sure why that game has that DNA, but it does. But the ending of it is quite rough. If you've ever finished that game, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's sort of, I would say that the last few hours, it just kind of falls apart, unfortunately. I don't know if it's them running out of time or what, but I don't think it quite sticks the landing. But that's why it's not in my top list of Final Fantasy games, but I do genuinely think that the core gameplay is extremely fun. All right, enough Final Fantasy talk. We need to move on. No more Final Fantasy. Instead, we'll talk about this. Fall Guys. I didn't think I'd be talking about Fall Guys again. I thought it'd just fall off the radar. But I did say at some point, if you guys ever want to know what happens to a cycle of a game, it is essentially that if it is a paid game and it's a service, if it doesn't end up having the player base sticking around or it starts falling apart, you then end up having the scenario here like this, which is they go free to play. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think this revitalizes. I think going free to play, particularly for this type of game, which is aimed at younger children, does work a bit better. It is the mobile mentality, and I think that it is just more accessible, and it might revitalize it. We'll see. I literally actually played it last night because my friend really, really wanted to try it after all this time, and I think they've made some improvements in terms of the levels and stuff like that. I still think it has a lot of problems. I think that there is a lot of things that I think that they need to get to a point that to really have it as a satisfying product. But being free to play, perhaps that might help them speed up that process. Really unsure, but yeah. I like playing Fall Guys. I should re-download it. Well, what I will say is that right now there is a lot of little kids playing because it's gone free to play. It is very easy to get wins in the game right now because I would say that the player's skill level has significantly dropped than the streamer time period where it was the hot goss and everyone was playing it. But yeah, so many people I knew were confused with 7 and they thought it was 5. How did they have that? 7 was always called 7. I still haven't played Fall Guys, but I do enjoy watching people playing on Twitch. Funny game. I'm kind of torn behind it because I actually enjoyed it more, James, last night than when I originally played it. Mostly because there's more levels to play. Also the fact that the levels, I think that they've gotten better at making the level loop. I think it just is a better experience currently. But because of the fact that the limited amount of levels in the game restrict what you kind of see content-wise. Also, their microtransaction and cosmetic store sucks pretty bad. I think that they need to really quite improve that. But what I will say is that with this, it's definitely at a point where I could see growth happening. It doesn't feel like it's a game that's like dead in the water. It's just they will need to be clever going forward, I think. And the free-to-play could be what they need. One thing I'm salty about with Fall Guys, I missed out on getting the Godzilla suit. Oh no. Well, Tyler, I don't know how often they loop that stuff. Like I said, I have a bit of an issue with how their cosmetic store works, but it's one of those things that we will see, essentially, that whether or not they can figure themselves out. Hey, Kludema. Apparently I'm offline, according to my chatbot. I don't know why my chatbot thinks that. My chatbot's running, isn't he? Hang on, hold up. That's why. My chatbot's not currently running. Give me 2 seconds, chat. I will just quickly set up this. Hang on. I've just got to log in quickly. Uh-oh. Wrong password. All right, hang on. I'll deal with that later. We'll deal with that later, chat. Damn, I must be... No, I'm here. Don't worry, I'm here, chat. 5 and 6 were kind of... Yeah, it was the same here as well, but Kit. But they were expecting 5. Oh, I see what you mean. Right. No, yeah. No, I think that... that is for older than my generation. A lot of, like, that was when I was a kid, was when 7 came out. So that would be mostly for older people, because I wouldn't have played the SNES ones when I was a kid. It was too much for my little kid brain. But let's keep moving. All right. I haven't done the news about summer sales and things like that. Sales I should probably talk about a bit about more, just to let you guys know. But the Steam summer sale has started. If you guys have anything on your wish list, there's some pretty good games on here. I think that the games Reddit usually is a pretty good job of stating what some good ones to check out for. Example they've got is Valve Complete Bundle, Terraria, Gary's Mod, Elder Scrolls Bundle, some extra ones like Rust, Euro Truck, things like that. And then some good ones like Stardew, It Takes Two, Human Fall Flat. Human Fall Flat's very good, and it's got a stupid amount of content. Lego games, Divinity, hell yeah, Divinity. There's some old ones. So yeah, if you want to have a look, they've got these lists up, and there's some interesting games in there. The bot may be drunk. Yeah, maybe don't. Maybe don't interact too much with the bot right now, because I do need to fix him. It looks like one thing has disconnected. But yeah. Steam summer sale. If you got some cash and some wishlist stuff, maybe look at that. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Oh my gosh. So if you guys did not see, there was a direct specific for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I have not played 2, and I'm kind of holding off from playing them until I replay 1. I kind of want to replay 1 because it was so long ago. But what I will say is that the trailer for 3 came down, as well as a whole heap of extra information. That direct was quite long. A lot of information came out about this game. So if you're waiting for this and you don't mind a little bit of spoiler territory, definitely check out this. There's a lot here, and they revealed a lot of new faces, a lot of new mechanics. They went a little bit more in depth in terms of how world and structure. It was quite significant. And again, I always like when companies are a little bit more forward and public about this stuff, and it seems like they're very excited, because what we know about the Xenoblade team is they are very, very good at what they do. This game looks kind of killer for a Switch game, and at a glance, it might be a seamless open world, which that's an insane thing to say for a Switch game that looks this good. Hey NC, welcome in. Oh, my voice. Oh my god. Sorry, I got a bit of tickle in my throat, chat. I have it on PS2, Dead Space. All right, let's keep jumping in. All right, this was a weird one to come across. Heroes and New Earth is permanently shutting down. So this is probably something a lot of people don't know, which is Heroes is essentially it was one of the Dota clones. So back when Dota 1 was just a mod, the team broke off, and they basically went and made a various different set of games. And a lot of people probably would have heard quite a few of them, particularly League of Legends and Dota 2. But before those ones was 2 other games, which was League of Legends and Heroes of New Earth and Demigod. I think the game was called Demigod. I actually quite liked Demigod. I wish it was a bit better of a game, or it had more content. But Heroes of New Earth was basically a remake of Dota. It was mostly Dota, and then they changed a bit. But wow, 12 years. That's pretty successful for that long, because I thought this game died a long time ago. Just the thing that most people talk about Dota and League of Legends these days, or Dota 2. This game somehow survived this long without it, I would say, being very front and center. But it must have had a very core player base. But yeah, kudos to the team for keeping it alive for that long. But yeah, hopefully greener pastures for the player base that'll probably find their way over on a Dota 2 if they haven't already. Cuphead Studio. This is not a piece that I normally would do. I would say that this is not a normal article I would do, but I feel like this is an opinion piece that I kind of like. But Cuphead Studio director on delays says, and long development, who cares? Now, this statement has come out a few times recently, particularly from indie developers. Hollow Knight's devs also had something similar to say about this. As two studios, that I think that they're probably one of the rare occasions that can say this, because they're self-published and self-developed, that I kind of agree with them. I think that it's nice to hear this statement come out every now and then. Honestly, I would rather a polished indie product that they are willing to take the time for, because they're taking the chance there at that point. As a player base, you may get sort of itchy and restless that you're wanting the new thing. There's so many different things to play, chat. There's always so many different things to play. Do not worry about it. If it's going to come out, it will come out at some point. And I think that this is the best thing that can happen. And it's just nice to see that studios coming out and saying this, because look, Cuphead is very good. If you want to play Cuphead, Cuphead's out. The sequel, both Hollow Knight and Cuphead, are coming. They are working on it, and I think you should have the confidence in them. And at the end of the day, the only ones that are really harmed from something taking this long would probably be them, because they are self-published and self-developed. They're taking the costs of the longer development cycle for however long, and they're also taking the hit that if it doesn't come out within a timely manner, it might not sell as well. And that's completely on them. Completely on them. And it's just, I just want more studios to have that courage to do this. I have that feeling because as much as I want one game, I'm the type of person who will need more than one game to get a system. True, definitely. I think if you're buying a game system, Superwoman, definitely you want to have more things. But yeah. But yeah, I agree with the studio, and it's nice to see that they're willing to talk about it. This was a weird one. This one is actually probably for like people like Tante and Zigzagoon. Team Fortress 2 actually got an update randomly. This is very strange. Valve does this periodically to their games, strangely at times. If you haven't known, Team Fortress has a particular problem with its bots. And player balancing and all this sort of stuff, but they made an update, and it doesn't cover everything, but it does fix some things, so people are kind of happy with this update. But you will know that it's called a small patch, so it's not a major thing, but it's just very weird to see. So who knows, if like maybe keep an eye out. If people start talking positive, maybe it can be a thing to go back to play TF2 at some point. Oh, this should have been with the other Xenoblade news. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 expansion pass. So if you didn't realize, there is actually going to be an expansion pass associated to Xenoblade 3, and it's pretty relatively cheap. It's $29.99 American, and I think that seems pretty dang good, because the team already put so much content into the game. If they're going to add more content, that's going to be kind of crazy. And what I know about the previous game's DLC is people were very happy with that. So maybe keep your eye on it. You don't have to get it straight away, but you can definitely know that that's going to be coming as extra content. But now I want one because more than Starfield to have a reason. Heck yeah, that's the thing. You just gotta add up the list. Speaking of new releases, the Summer Game Fest. It was pretty much a success, I would say, across the board for all the different streams. We're still kind of amidst it, but the Game Fest stream itself had 3.5 million peak concurrent views. 3.5 million. That is a lot. I don't know in like relative nature if that's bigger than E3's biggest ever was, but that's pretty freaking large. And that had an uptick of 8% compared to the previous year. So that's pretty cool. I think, again, games are just on the uprise. You will not stop what this big juggernaut of an industry is, and it's pretty cool to see just how much people are willing to just check out streams about essentially ads. These are essentially ads. The streams are basically ads, and I'm okay with it because we're hungry, chat. We hunger. This is what I want to know is Sony going to is Sony going to do? I don't know. I don't know. We're in a funny generation. This is just a funny generation. I will say, Superwoman. Monster Hunter Rise demo will be delisted at the end of June. So this is just a little note swing because of the fact that this is actually in reference to the first demo, not the second demo. So if you've never gotten your extra little bonuses from playing the base Rise demo, this is your last chance. This is fine. The new demo that just came out is more than enough for content, I would say, for people to play. It is slightly different in terms of what you can fight, but because of the fact that Sunbreak is the thing that you will probably be ending up working towards, I think a Sunbreak demo is more than fine to have. So if you really want that demo for preservation's sake or wanting to get something out of it, it is going away, so just maybe look into that. From Software, Hideki Miyazaki has announced there is an unannounced title, and it's in the final stages of development. And the next title is going to be directed by himself still. So he's not going anywhere, which is, I would be surprised if he would go anywhere anytime soon. He seems very passionate about the games he makes, very involved. And yeah, I think we know, if you're in the loop, and we talked about it before, mech fans may be excited for possibly this title that is unannounced, and that might be getting announced soon. And then the other one is essentially there's something else in the works. He also talks about how we are going to see more Elden Ring content essentially be coming soon. And that'd be nice to see. I think that it'd be good to see some of the extra sort of upgrades to some of the storylines and some of the things that were cut from the game returning. But I don't know if that means we're going to get a DLC. I really hope we do get a DLC just for a dump of content for Elden Ring, because I think that game deserves it. But them working on a new title will be interesting, because how do they top Elden Ring? And I think this is this weird thing now where I do wonder whether or not the team will now have this scenario where they will do a small game alongside a large game. So like similar to how they did Sekiro next to Dark Souls 3. And I would really like to see some Elden Ring DLC, as I think most people would. Because that world, I think, as much as we've explored it all, chat, I think we want more from it. I know, but it's got to be a big game. Yeah, so yeah, I'm very excited about this piece of news, and hopefully we hear something soon. I'm actually a little surprised this game that he's talking about hasn't been announced yet, considering the leaks going around about it, but I'm kind of hoping that it is true, and we are approaching an announcement point at some time soon. Any announcements? Speaking of announcements, wish that one was in this one. We've got a few different games. This one actually provided by Kit. AM2R developers reunite for a Kami-inspired Metroidvania. I kind of want to so we watched this trailer just before. This is very cute. I do think this looks very good. It looks a lot like, it looks like Hollow Knight and Ori and the Blind Forest sort of combined. It's very pretty looking. I like the art style a lot. I think that it looks like it actually plays quite well. I don't know. Oh, it's another Metroid 2 remake. Oh, that's what this is. Now I know what this is. Yeah, so that actually that bodes well, actually, chat, because I know that AM2R is actually quite liked by the community. But we'll have to keep an eye out for this game, because you know me. I do like me a good Metroidvania, and I like Japanese culture an awful lot. Not gonna lie, I saw Slime Rancher on Twitter, and people said it ain't happy with Slime Rancher 2 is not on PlayStation, so who knows? Oh, really? Interesting. That's a little sad. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is coming to Steam, and it is going to be doing, it'll do it on June 23rd, and it will bring DLC with it. So I believe this is the first DLC pack for Tiny Tina's. This game is actually selling quite well. People are quite positive on this one. It's kind of curious where, I'm kind of curious how this will do. Gearbox are still in the stage where it's like, it feels like you can never keep them down. But yeah, I don't know. Fingers crossed for people who are enjoying this game that this is good DLC as well, and they can kind of keep that uptrend for development, because there was a point there where people were not too keen essentially on the works from Gearbox, particularly the stuff from the Borderlands teams. Everything I've seen has been very cringe. I know. I mean, that's the kind of thing, James. I feel like Borderlands had its time for me. I don't know how easy it will be to go back to it, but if you like the gameplay loop, I feel like it's still probably for people. It's just, it's very much, its humor is for a particular sort of type of people now, unfortunately, where essentially it won't be for everyone, and it does have a bit of cringe to it, unfortunately. You feel like you need more games for spending that much on a new system. Most definitely. I think we're still in a funny time, and that's why I don't think people should necessarily feel like they need to buy a new console straight away. No More Heroes 3 console release date announced. So this is for outside of the Switch. This is for the other consoles. I believe it's also on PC now, but I'm kind of... oh, actually, while the PC port was announced, it has no word on a release date. Yeah, so that was what I was kind of waiting for, because I thought it looked particularly rough on the Switch. I bought No More Heroes 2 and 1 for the Switch because those games are quite old, but they still ran not fantastically at times. And this game it was particularly rough on the Switch. And as much as I want to use motion controls for the game, I don't know if I can tolerate that for what I think should probably be on the other consoles. So, yeah. I'm not a huge first-person view person, so I don't mind anything. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing, Superman. You figure out what you want to play. Is No More Heroes 1 and 2 also on the Switch? It is, yeah. So they brought out a collection for both those games, and we played them on stream. They actually were all right on the Switch. They're totally fine. Worth getting on the Switch. You actually have access to the motion controls and stuff as well. But for this game, I feel like Grasshopper Studios still have not quite figured out optimization. They really do struggle, I will say. And as much as this game has some... It's Japan jank. I will describe this game as Japan jank. No More Heroes and Grasshopper Studios kind of what they do. But it is, if you like this niche genre of gaming, it's kind of worth checking out, definitely. But yeah, it's a rough, hard to sell when the game sometimes runs pretty poorly on the main console. This one's for Storm. Klonoa Fantasy Reverie Series demo now available in Japan. Don't know why they're only doing the demo in Japan, but if you are wanting to pick up this game, you might be able to be very clever about it, and you will be able to grab the demo. It looks quite nice. I think this is a very good remake, and I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to playing this because I never played Klonoa, and this seems like a perfect time for me to be able to replay these games or play these games for the first time in these shiny HD versions, which I think people seem to be quite happy about how these look. Just fingers crossed that there's nothing that breaks amongst it. Cough, cough, Sonic Origins. Is it enjoyable and playable jank for people who can handle jank? Yes, I would say so, yes. I would say 1 and 2 most definitely. You have to be into that sort of thing, Kit. If you can handle those sorts of games, you will enjoy the time you spend with it. I saw someone play this on Switch. It looks so bad. Which one? No More Heroes or Klonoa? Need anything on Final? No. No, Indomitus. No. You'll be the first to let know if it ever does get revealed. Sega Genesis and the Mega Drive Mini 2 get 10 to 12 more titles announced. Oh my gosh. So I still am not sure like who necessarily these are for. I don't, it surprises me that these sell so well, but there's some titles here that I think are actually quite cool. Some of these are only available in arcades that I've seen. So here's some titles that you might be interested if you really want to pick up the Mini. Afterburner 2, Columns 3, Mega Panel, Nadia, Outrun, Puzzle Action, Splatterhouse 2, Star Mobile, Night Striker, The Ninja Warriors, and Starblade. So I don't know, we can watch the trailer maybe. Allow me to catch my breath. But yeah, they're really pushing this Mini, I feel like. They're really, again, but mostly only in Japan. This is really meant to be Japanese focused. Classic survival jank. I mean, they're tank controls. That's not really. I wouldn't say that's jank. That's a bit different. The only minis I got were the NES and the SNES. I brought them because I thought they looked cool. I mean, that's the thing. If I feel like some people, the niche is there for them, then other people. I want to play this. This looks cool. I like my OG puzzle games, chat. What is this? What is this? Hang on. I want to know more about this game. What the hell is that? What is this? Puzzle and action. It's a series of mini games? That looks dope. Special content. So these are the Western releases. No, this is Star Mobile. What is this? Oh, this looks charming. Man, there's something about there's certain retro games that just hit me quite right, chat. That game, that visual on that game kind of did. Who knows if it's any fun though. But like I said, if you're looking forward to the Mini, I don't know if it's coming to the West anytime soon, but in Japan it is coming out on October 27th. We might get more details in the future, but you definitely be able to purchase it from over there to bring it back. But I'm not sure how many Western games, and probably have Japanese UI. All right, we are out of the general and announcement sections. We are into money time. And really, I'll just talk about this one because I thought this was a bit of a funny, cute one. Capcom is selling a real-life feline Daruma from Monster Hunter Rise. So if you haven't seen in your house in Monster Hunter Rise, you have like a little section for little figurines and a little Daruma you can get. And I would say this doesn't look a lot like a Palico. I think this mostly looks like a Daruma with ears. It's a bit of a funny looking one, but just the fact that they're selling it. They actually have put out a lot of merchandise for Rise recently, but it's kind of cute. I kind of like this. A plush for a Dango is a little weird though. That's a little weird, but it looks like it's seen things, and it definitely looks like a crafted Daruma, by the way. You can kind of see it's got that paper mache look to it. So I don't know if that means that you should treat it like a proper Daruma. You'll notice that it has both eyes colored in, which, if you don't know, Darumas are meant to have, you are meant to color in their eyes. No idea if their intention is that you are going to be, you will do that yourself at some point, but heck, if you really want a Daruma, there's an accessible one for you, maybe. Cross media. This one was really, really weird, and I kind of feel a bit funny about it. Inugami Korone reveals Sonic-inspired outfit. So, if you've not been following the adventures of Korone and Sega, Korone somehow has gotten so into Sega, and she has been making lots of appearances at their presentations and has made, like, a lot of the HoloLivers have made their way into various gaming things, like be it voice acting or actual cameos or vice versa, like collabs and things. But Corona, who I would say she's kind of funny in terms of like she's a Sonic fan but not a Sonic super fan, because she's been playing a lot of the games for the first time from what I understand. She has gotten so in there that she has managed to get a whole outfit with Sonic, which is ironic because a lot of fans have been drawing her in a Sonic outfit or in a Sonic style look, and honestly I think the fan might look a little bit better than this, but it's kind of charming. I like, this is also a rare occasion where you see a hair change for a costume change. But she gets a little hoodie. She's got the Sega logo. She gets a little ring, and an emerald fin earring. This is pretty cute. I think what sells it for me is the single earring on one side. I think putting the weight on this side just adds a bit more cuteness to it. But yeah, it's a official Sega costume collaboration. And not only that, she is actually going to be doing dub voice acting for the Sonic movie 2 in Japan. I don't know who she's voicing or what, but she seemed pretty excited about that. But is very cute. Congrats to her, and it is a very funny thing where we have now got essentially they're very in there. VTubers have officially broken so far in that they're just considered a part of the industry now, which is pretty cool. I mean, we kind of had the reverse in the sense that it's basically the streamer thing where Ninja was in Fortnite and other things, but I think this works a bit better because these cartoon-esque characters in some games can just kind of slot in everywhere. Also, if you've not watched any of Two Snacks' animations, you should watch Two Snacks' animations. They're very good on HoloLive. They're very fun. All right. Anime time. Going from VTubers to anime. Perfect. One Piece film Red will appear in theaters outside of Japan in this fall. So if you're worried, you shouldn't need to. The One Piece movies have come over in the past. And we are now going to see essentially One Piece over here as well, with the latest movie, which I hope is good. The last few movies are very good. If you haven't watched, I want to say Strong World, go watch Strong World. That movie is just absolutely amazing. If you've not watched, I want to say, I feel like Zed is not as strong as Gold. Gold was quite good, but I still think Strong World is probably their best movie. Strong World is extremely good. I don't like One Piece. Watch Strong World and let me know how you feel, Indominus. It's my cousin once removed. Wait, hang on. The rumor? Kind of do be. Also, Shrey Yank, welcome on in. Good news, anime news. Anime news just gets people sometimes. If it's like early PS2's kind of jank, yeah, it's kind of early PS2 jank. But it's GameCube. It's early Wii era jank is what I would say. Might go watch it after I watch the three oh god, don't play this. Watch the superhero movies. Oh god. I don't know. I'm just not a Dragon Ball Super fan. I'm sorry to say. I really, really am not, chat. But speaking of which, Medic, did you call it? This was very weird. This is one of the weirdest promos I've seen for an anime movie in a long time. Dragon Ball Superhero, the movie that is just released in Japan, put out a 5-minute, like literally the first 5 minutes of the movie for 24 hours only on Japan services. This was very odd. I do not understand this as a promo. It's very strange. I don't even know if it's still up. I can't see it because it's only in Japan. So if you go to Japan link, you could probably watch it, VPN. But it's, yeah, if you really want to go watch 5 minutes, you can VPN in and I guess watch this. But it's very strange. This is a very strange chat. I don't know if this is the greatest way to promo it, but maybe this is for people who aren't sold on the art style. Maybe people that are not sure if they want to watch a Dragon Ball movie. I have no idea what happens in the first 5 minutes, whether or not it's worth enough for that. But yeah, I think people, I can't, okay. I know what happens in this movie, by the way. I've already seen all the leaks and spoilers about it. So I can't really talk about it, but I feel like once this hits the West and people start knowing what's in this movie, a lot of people will be talking about it. For better and worse, I would say. We will see. Common controversies. All right, let's jump into some controversies. Some weird ones this week. And we'll start with the one related to Sonic, because we were just talking to Sonic. I'll wait till the movie arrives in VR chat. Of course it will. Of course it will. Someone will stream it. This one was really friggin' weird, chat. Yuji Naka confirms that Sonic 3's original soundtrack was used music composed by Michael Jackson. So, if you don't know this story, Michael Jackson was theorized to have created the music for Sonic 3 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This was a long-term thing. It was crazy just how much people like sort of debated this, even though it was relatively confirmed by discussions in communities and things like that, as well as the fact that if you were to look at on the Michael Jackson side in particular, that the music composer has talked himself about doing stuff related to it. But we've never had the confirmation from Sega side. Sega has avoided this topic for so long. Now, a man scorned by the industry, Yuji Naka, a man who has gone and fought against Square Enix recently, has come out and just said, my God, the music for Sonic 3 has changed, even though that Sega's official uses Michael Jackson's music. Now, I want to point out something. Yuji Naka was working at Sega at the time. He was not the producer for Sonic 3. He really had his limelight more so in the Dreamcast era. But he was working there, and I'm fairly sure he would know who was the musicians composing it, because it would have been a big talk within Sega's internals. So I think this is the closest we're going to get to a confirmation that it is a Michael Jackson song. Without Michael Jackson's entire copyright label talking about it, and without Sega talking about it, I think right now it's everyone else involved will talk about it but them. But this is probably the closest we'll ever get to confirming it. But if you did not know, Sonic Origins is actually changing the music. There's a few things that are different. That's another controversy in itself. I'm not going to go talk about like that right now because there's a bit of weird hearsay about some of the Origins stuff. But yeah, it sounds like people are not happy with that game. It sounds like it might be another bust in terms of a remake for them. But yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, this is just a funny thing. Looks like there's an update to the story where it was unconfirmed. I mean, I feel like there must be some more about this, but we'll look at that in another time. I guess the question for Sonic 3 is, did you beat it? I had to take a moment for that one, Talika, but thank you. Gosh, thank you for that one. Activision Blizzard shareholders vote for a New York proposed animal abuse report. If you did not hear about Activision Blizzard's internal review of whether or not they were in the wrong, and they claimed that they were not, was pretty fucking gross. The fact that they're now requesting to have the shareholders are requesting for an annual abuse report is kind of a good thing to see. This story just never ends. I feel like this crazy thing. It must be a really weird, bizarre situation to work at either Activision or Blizzard or any of the subsidiaries at the moment, just because you're constantly in the news. You cannot be freed from the news because it's just, your company is just seen as very evil right now. And it's good things are coming about it. If they do have an annual review, it would be good to see, because of the fact that it is kind of crazy just how much horrible stuff has happened in-house for them. But they're making our way forward. However, I will talk about the fact that the same shareholders have now raised a vote to re-elect the board that are existing, including Bobby Kotick, or at least for the next year or so. So those same shareholders that are trying to sort of figure out that sort of internal stuff, they're also voting basically to keep the status quo, mostly likely because they don't really want to shake things up too much before the Microsoft merger, because once that happens, that's probably going to have a lot of changes in itself. So double handling the situation is probably something they're trying to avoid, because that will impact them as shareholders and their stocks and everything like that. So that is seemingly like what's happening here. It's not great to hear, because it means that the people at Activision Blizzard are going to be stuck with the same problematic people probably for some time, unless they step down. And yeah, it's just a rough thing that's happening right now. None of this is ever going to be clean, but it's just a little sad. Yeah. Sonic's only non-busted in a long time was Mania, and it was because it was fan made. Yeah. Sega and Sonic Team are I can't really figure out why they can't figure out what to do. It's very sad to see. There is a lot of fan stuff that have made such leaps and bounds, but it's kind of this weird thing. I'll just talk about this briefly, which is mascot characters. A good example is Capcom. Also is in the same boat in a sense. Mascot characters that have an IP which is based around a particular gameplay format that's sort of been done to death and is not really selling in the modern era, now has a situation essentially that they kind of don't really want to touch them or put any money too heavily associated to them. And I would say that Sonic with Sega kind of be that. Sega's lost a lot of money, a lot of money recently. Over the past few years, they've really struggled in certain areas. They are making a lot of money in other areas, I would say, and some IPs such as Yakuza have done better than they've ever done. However, they have never quite figured out what to do with Sonic, and they're not willing to put enough money into that to figure it out, it feels. So he kind of lives in this limbo. Sonic has just lived in this kind of strange limbo for a very long time, and till this new game. And I'm really hoping this new game might be the revitalization the IP is needed. It may not stick the landing, however, it might at least do something for their internals to figure stuff out. It's kind of ironic, Blizzard, it's Blizzard, because it's just an unending avalanche of controversy. I know, that's it. I had to double look because I thought it said animal abuse. Who knows? That might be on the list, Red Rover. We've had almost a complete checkbox for what's happened internal for this place. I don't think I've ever played anything from Blizzard, but I almost got into WoW, but I didn't because I don't play that. No, that's okay. I'm a big Blizzard fanboy. Again, I would like to point out that a lot of this isn't on Blizzard side. There is stuff from Blizzard side. There is a very large amount of this. This is Activision's made this situation happen. Activision really has taken hold and changed the company in various different ways. Honestly, Blizzard were probably on the road to that anyway, with just certain people that they put into positions of power, but it seems like it was very Activision involved in sense. What about Rathalos? He's a mascot. He's a mascot for Monster Hunter, but he's not a mascot character in Dominus. I think it's a bit different. Mascot characters usually will be games where the character is front and center. They are essentially the game. Sorry, Chad, I just need a drink. Activision investigated Blizzard Activision and found no wrongdoing is the most ironically funniest news stories of the year. I know, James. It was fucking insane. Reading that, try not to swear too much in the news, but holy shit, that was absolutely abysmal. I can't believe that like they would come out with news like that. The thing is, you kind of have a scenario where those internal investigations happen all the time. A lot of the time companies will, that's the point of HRs and things like that. And a lot of the time they will find those findings. However, they don't go public with them. But in a state of crisis that this company is in, for them to come out and say that was extremely bold and stupid. And yeah, it is what it is. This company has put itself very much in the crossfire lines of the entire industry. And who knows where this ends up, but hopefully in a space that is going to improve both eventually, and let's hope Microsoft don't start just sweeping under the rug. Like really hope that's not what's going to happen with this. Most of Blizzard's fuck ups were since the merger. Yeah, it really sucks because as a Blizzard fanboy for a very long time, I grew up with these games. Blizzard games were so part of my DNA. I'm a massive World of Warcraft fan until a certain point. And it's sad to see that all these IPs that I much beloved have gone down this road. And I do think that a lot of this, I denied it for a long time. I was like, there's no way Activision will change Blizzard that much. But I think they kind of did. And I think it's just sad to see now in retrospect. Yakuza games are easy. They're really weird, but you have to manage a business. Man, Yakuza is amazing. I think if you've not played a Yakuza, play a single Yakuza game, play one of the modern ones. Yakuza have always been amazing. I think they're just super fun. Can we classify Sonic's treatment by Sega as animal abuse? We'll wait for it, Indominus. We'll have an article that basically states that. Gosh. Poor Sonic. I have to point out, just as a spin-off, remember that in the main character was a Rathalos, just saying. True, but not in the same way Superman. Remember also it was the main character was the boy. And you could swap Ratha out. Like you didn't necessarily have them in the party at all times. He is front and center, but it's not like the same as playing purely Sonic, purely playing Ratchet and Clank, purely playing Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Mario. I think those ones would be the classification as a mascot. Ironically, Master Chief. I have to play Like a Dragon soon. I don't know if I will like a Dragon because it's so different as a Yakuza game, and I'm not really feeling a turn-based game right now. I really haven't for a while, but maybe one day. To be fair, it was a particular Rathalos and not Ratha. True. That's also true, Talika. It's not just a Rathalos, it was this Rathalos. You can switch him out until post-game. Couldn't you? Forgot about that then. Yeah, you're probably right, Indominus. And let's do it. Let's do the last story of the day and a controversy as always. It is an easy controversy whenever you see titles like this. Square, what the fuck are you doing? Square Enix plans to create story-focused NFTs. What does this even mean? What is happening? What is happening to the industry? So I'm really not quite sure what this sort of entails. I think this is another one of those weird, like it comes up, they'll talk about it, it never actually happens. Square Enix says a lot of dumb stuff. Their business division is very, very strange. Very, very strange. As much as I love Square games and things like that, there is still a lot of very strange decisions. So, I don't quite know what this means. Very likely because of how NFTs are, they're basically something that's being established as a unique content creation that you will have ownership of in some form or another. But does that mean that they're going to be writing you storylines? Is this so you could write storylines for your OCs? I don't really know what this is. Very, very strange. But apparently they're going to have a division part of Square to do this. And I think this is going to be a very poor decision. But who knows? Maybe all this throwing at the spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks will be the thing that establishes essentially what NFTs will turn into, where they will find something that works, something that is not just messed up and a terrible idea. But it feels like a bad idea, and we'll see. We'll see. What do you guys got to say about this one? NFT is my favorite fierce Tyrannosaurus. What is even the point? It was true. He was in the party and couldn't remember. Yeah. There'll be a penny drop moment in the next few years where there'll be marketing done by whoever pitched this and spearheaded NFT will get quietly added to the industry's blacklist. That's not necessarily true, James. So here's the hard part about this, and I don't want to hit too hard on the marketing divisions and the business divisions of video games. There is some stuff, some people out there do fantastic work. However, it is also the most notable grimy part of the industry, where there is a lot of dumb shit that is particularly done to squeeze like money out of like people and consumers and push the industry in a very, very dark direction. And I would say NFTs being represented like that very much is that so. However, the caveat to that is there is also a phrase, failing upwards. And in marketing, you would be surprised how often that has, because there's no news is good news. There's no news is bad. What's the phrase? No news is bad news? I've gotten it wrong. But the point is the fact that essentially there are marketing strategies that happen that essentially will put them on the map. People will talk about this. So if people were to look at it, they'll be like, do you remember this weird thing that we did as a business? Yeah, I was the one who came up with it. And they'd be like, we ended up having some losses, but people ended up talking about it, and the stocks ended up jumping because of it. And that is where you sort of have a fail upwards scenario with this stuff. And that's kind of the scary thing about it, and that's why NFTs keep being brought up, because it is a controversial topic. Like, we're literally talking about it. We're involved in that scenario because of the fact that we're talking about this as a problem, meaning that we're talking about Square Enix. Square Enix is currently on screen because of this. So controversial news pieces start getting written, and then you have the flow-on effect with all of that. So it's a tricky thing. And I think that that's where you have to look at it in certain sort of almost jaded tones, unfortunately. I have a beef with Square right now. They send a cease and desist music to the music live stream that I listen at work. Yeah, no, cease and desist is, I think, a copyright stuff. It's all, there's a lot of just very, very rough things with business stuff, unfortunately. And this is why we talk about it, because it's good to know what's happening, essentially. I'm still on the fence of what Final Fantasy if you want to get 16, or watch it before you buy it. No, I'll watch it before I buy it. Yes, I would definitely go watch it, Superman. I'm definitely going to buy that game. I'm already sold on it. I have complete confidence in the team. Square sees devs, sees a trend practically everyone hates. Also, Square devs makes their own. Well, it's not the devs. It'd be the internal division stuff. They would have their project teams and things like that. If I remember, the CEO of Squaresoft wants to make an NFT video game. Yes, the CEO is not. I don't really like the business division. I do not like the CEO and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff about Square I do not have. I'm not a big fan of them. EA starts NFTs. I'll say that. EA was already they want that money. They would have done it easily. They were known as one of the most evil companies in the industry for a very long time. Is that the person who talks about bitcoins? Yeah. Well, our prime minister for 3 years was literally a failed marketing hack. Yeah, I won't go into that, but yeah, James, for those Australians in the house, you can take a guess at how I feel about the past 10 years of running or whatever it was. But yeah, hopefully we're out of the dark ages. Not bad, but it's got unique features. EA makes NFTs and says they're scams and they're unique features. Yeah, no, EA is definitely one of those companies that you could see them doing a lot of this stuff. It's not too crazy, but that's what it is. This is the state of the industry. We are moving forward in some ways, moving backwards at others. It's going to be just always that fine needle bouncing backwards and forwards as they find new ways to monetize. That's why you need to become a very smart consumer and just look after yourselves. Don't get tricked by things. Don't feel the need to spend money on things. Tell the industry how much you think something is important by putting your money in the places that you think should be encouraged and take away from others. If you don't think this is right, don't talk about this in a sense in a public space where it's like you're like getting people to talk about it necessarily, even though I'm doing that. But try and make people aware of if you have issues with something. It's a tricky thing, but it's just look after yourself at the end of the day. Because big companies, they're going to try and find ways to get money out of you. Yeah, it becomes free marketing and people go, ew, X company doing NFTs all the time. Kind of, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And it could be a part of why they're doing it, but yeah. EAs would call NFTs surprise mechanics. Oh my God. Really? I just noticed this is worth 500. Wait, hang on, hold up. What do you mean, Talika? It's worth 500. I'm just having a quick read. Did I miss something? Did they talk about how they're going to price them? There's no way they'd be talking about pricings at this point, because this would come up in the shareholders meeting. So yeah, this would be very early days for whatever projects it would be. So I shouldn't be tricked into playing games that I like and instead be playing Fossil Fighters. You guys have come up with some things recently for me to play. That's just like, I'm sorry to say, they were very, very unlikely to happen. On Ark Survival Involved 2, how significant is the feature cross-platform modding to gaming? That is a very interesting question, Talika. I like that one. So, honestly, I think I've talked about this in the past. Modding is extremely important to the industry. Cross-platform, also extremely important to the industry. However, you've just brought up two things that are very, very problematic to implement. So, a good example is I actually was playing Fall Guys last night. I was actually trying to play on my PlayStation because that's where I got it free to play originally because of the Game Plus thing. And so I tried to link up my Epic account, and I tried to play my Epic account with the Epic PC players, and for whatever reason, it just wouldn't talk. Like I couldn't see game invites and things like that. And it's just one of those things that's really rough because cross-platform is a weird solved but not solved solution, and problems keep coming up over the years and things like that. But I don't think it's something that shouldn't be worked on. I think it should be definitely something that's pushed. To be encouraged. I've talked about with fighting games is one of the biggest things. You want to talk about multiplayer games, cross-platform should be almost one of the first things that you should be trying to make sure that you've got some path to being able to develop it, because it keeps the game alive. The bigger the player base, the more likely you will last longer, because once you start bleeding players and your player base is already small enough it will end. Then the other half of what we'll talk about is modding. Is essentially modding is a very, very difficult thing to implement, particularly on, I want to say, like on PC, you can get wild different like sort of implementations and things like that. However, if you are talking about consoles, modding becomes a very strange space. So modding, already hard enough it is on the PC. It's hard to constrain, it's hard to implement, everything like that. It very much, by allowing players to be able to do modding, a lot of the time opens doors for problems as developers, just in general. I mean, I'm not even talking about Skyrim here. I'm talking about just other games in general. People doing injection and things like that. So if you're doing it on console, so if you talk about, say, the console one, which we will talk about, Elder Scrolls with Skyrim, modding is something that essentially was very difficult for them to implement, and they came up with some very clever solutions. Minecraft also doing the same thing, and it has done wonders for those platforms on the consoles. Yeah, like Daimono says, modding has kept Skyrim alive for a decade. Modding is like crossplay, both are extremely important things to have. They allow a game to last indefinitely if you wanted it. We've got games that are from like eternities old that are being remodded and having new content because the fan base, it allows the fan base to use the game as basically as a sandbox to do stuff. However, it is very hard to implement crossplay, but crossplay plus modding. And I feel for developers that want to do it, because it's not an easy solution, and it's not done enough that it's something that if you are doing it, good luck doing it, because it is the hardest tool to do, but the benefits are extremely worth it. It's very one of those things that you probably, once you start that road as well, that you probably will have to ongoing do maintenance to allow it to continue being something that can be used as a system as well. But yeah, I think that if that's the plan for Ark, if they're planning to do that, that is very cool. I didn't actually know that's what they were planning to do, but it's holy hell, that would be, for developers, that is an extremely hard challenge. Very hard challenge. Also, fight events champions in NFT. God. Crash platform would keep online games. Yeah, they keep them alive. There's GTA San Andreas mods that allow the game to look like GTA 5 ultra high settings. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. There's all sorts of different types of mods as well. A lot of the time, like, you will find that mods will essentially, the big ones, it's not necessarily the visuals. Visuals do bring people back and allowing it to play with a new coat of paint, but a lot of the time it'll be the gameplay. I think the gameplay is the thing that will definitely revitalizing something that people have a beloved nature for, where they can play the same thing that they played with either more content, new content, a different way to play, different systems. I think a lot of the time when mods can do to that level makes it an indefinite experience. You can just literally play it forever. And modders also are very important to the industry because they're just sort of like this weird thing that they can kind of just do with their own. Most very notable, well, not, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of very notable devs that are in the industry, like software devs, not necessarily front-running designers and things like that, came from a space from making either remakes of games that existed already or modding. And modding allowed them to figure out if I were to make a piece to inject into an existing thing, how would that work? How can I change a thing? How can I get involved in the code? And it's a very good way to get into the industry. Very easy way to, well, not an easy way, but a way to do a showcase essentially of your skill sets as well. So if you are a keen budding modder, always think about the positivity of what you can do for not just the fact that your legacy of the thing you made, but also the fact that you can use that to go and do more. But a lot of the time they're very much passion projects. I think it's interesting but not entirely surprising that Ark, mainly because of the number of gameplay and interface features that added in the last couple of years, were originally PC mods. And even in the recent new free maps and new creatures were PC mods. Well, that's the same thing about, I would say I wouldn't say Skyrim has ever done that, but I would say definitely Minecraft has done that. If you would ever look at Minecraft, Minecraft is never going to catch up with the mods that existed in it. And I think there's some incredible mods for Minecraft. that basically turn it into a game that I think is okay to something that is superb. And it's interesting because there's a whole heap of things from those mods that have made their way into the mainline series, and people who are just kids who don't interact with mods, who don't really understand that stuff, just accept that as this is just content that's been added to the game. And it's interesting to see that sort of dynamic as well, where like the natural fit for a lot of that stuff. Rockstar should have paid and hired the modders instead. Well, we were talking about Sonic. Sonic's actually kind of got that weird dynamic with that as well, where indie devs and modders and things like that are very much celebrated by Sega, yet they won't let them really in through the doors to work on their projects. I think that's kind of weird. Chat, I think that's kind of weird. It's very strange that we haven't had more from that side bleeding over from the the Sonic fan base into Sega's internals. But I'm going to say I do think that it might be a bit of Sega Japan, but Dota was a Warcraft 3 mod. It was. It very much was. And I think that's the cool thing about with that, because there's some amazing Warcraft 3 mods that I don't think people know got turned into games outside of Dota 2. A lot of there's some tower defenses, some of the survival game modes. They were actually playtested and created in Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2, and they went on to become real games. And it's interesting to see, like, just you can use a modded game mode essentially to playtest a game with a established community, and I think it's a smart thing to do. Very, very smart. What is this? What have you linked me? Thank you, Wolf. I do like me some Revengeance memes. I love me some Revengeance. Chat, should we play Revengeance again? I love this game. That almost feels like my yearly game. Fun fact, Ark's newest free map, Fjord, was a community-funded map. Oh, really? And the Ark devs had kept a particular cave that had a shrine dedicated to all the patrons that helped fund the map, as well as the creators themselves and some main popular. So that's cool. I think that's really cool to hear, Talika. Like, it's Ark's a funny one though, because I'm trying to remember now, because I'm not sure if I'm confusing these devs with a different set of devs. I thought Ark was the one that split in two, but this happens a lot. Did Ark devs split in two, and some are working on original Ark and they want to keep working on that, and then the other ones are working on Ark 2, and they're kind of almost a different company? Or am I wrong about that? I'm really not sure. I think I might be confusing them with another devs, because I know that kind of happened as well for things like not Stardew Valley, sorry, Terraria and things like that. That kind of weird things like that happened, but I'm not sure if Ark. Oh no, I'm thinking of Rust maybe. I think that's what I'm thinking of. I think Rust had that happen. But yeah, if that's the same team and people have faith in the Ark devs after all these years, that's really good to hear. It's always a very hard thing to essentially go from that established a sandbox game to make a new one, because you really have to reinvent the wheel. You really have to take that. You need to find a way to drag the player base out of the old and into the new, because the people don't want to touch the new until it has enough content as much as the base one. And that's where, unfortunately, the downside of modding becomes a problem, relevant, because people will be like, well, I can't use my mods in the new one. Like, why would I ever use the second one if I can't do it in that one? I just want to play the first one. And then you get those established player bases where they just will never move. But yeah. Wasn't Binding of Isaac's update originally a mod too? At which point, Red Rover, are we talking? Also, Nighty Night Kit. Okay. Isaac had like crazy development. Isaac's like, basically it's just our main boy working on that for eternity. Edwin McMillan started as a Flash game, and then he realized that all the things he wanted to do were getting too bulky and too much for a Flash game, and it was doing so well that he decided to monetize it and turned it into a real game. Did really well. And then we've had various ones essentially get updates over the years. Parts of Repentance. I would believe you're probably right, because at that point, Red Rover, Repentance is quite through its life cycle. I think that you are right. I think I remember hearing that actually. That's probably a better question for Tante because he knows the development a bit better for Isaac than I do. But yeah, if I can imagine that so because Isaac's big. Isaac's probably the biggest roguelike and maybe the biggest roguelike that we will ever see just because of its legacy. Extremely fun game if you've never played it. As far as I'm aware, no, there was a sister company called Wildcard that work on a pirate game called Atlas, and we don't talk about Atlas. Did Atlas even come out? Teleca? I can't even remember. I remember it being promoted, but I can't remember if it came out. I really can't remember. Yeah, because I just remember it when people were just talking about it's like it was just retrofitting things from Ark into it, and people were not very happy. But that might be what I was thinking about because I know both Rust and Ark had a weird similar scenario with that. And people were not quite happy with what happened with Rust's development and everything like that. So maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Oh, it did. It was. Let's almost say it made Fallout 76 look good. Oh my gosh. Well, Fallout 76. Crazy thing. That thing is seemingly holding itself together and has a established player base. Cannot believe that I could say that about that game after the disaster fire that it was originally, but yeah. Alright. I'm running out of breath. We've done a lot of news. I'm going to take a quick break. So, if you guys didn't realize, what we're going to do next is actually going to go play Pokemon Snap! The original Pokemon Snap. We played the new one, and I'm a big fan of it. It was very good. I actually didn't do a lot of post-game with that game, but I want to kind of play the original because I think the original still might be forever near and dear to my heart. There's something about the Pokemon spin-offs that are just so good, and it makes me love Pokemon so much more than I would say the main series does. Snap is a gem. It is something magical. It's very short, so we will probably get it done easily in the next... I think I can beat that game in an hour. It's very short, but we will play that, and then maybe I might play something else after that. Wasn't there a memory drawing? Yes. Yeah, so that will be after the news as well. So we'll do that beforehand. I think it's still here. Yeah, so Medic wants me to draw a Diablo. So we'll do that after the news and after the break. And then we'll jump into some Pokemans. All right. Sit tight, chat. Or actually, you take a break as well. It was a long news section. Take a break. Everyone take 5. And we'll come back for some stuff. First time I ever had with Pokemon Snap was naming my character I'm Gay, and then Professor Oak came out. Look. Hey Cray, welcome on in. It was a stupid time and an entertaining one. Man, I love when you can name your characters, particularly when you can name your party as well. You can make some very, very funny dialogue appear. But I'm gonna take a quick break, chat, and we'll be back very shortly. Oh my god, my voice.